Total War Arena is a free-to-play multiplayer battle game on Windows PC. You won't find the game on Steam as it's currently being developed by Creative Assembly and is published by Wargaming, utilizing the Wargaming Command Center to launch and update the game. In Total War Arena, you select 3 units from a wide variety of unit types and take them into 10v10 battles. This creates large-scale 30v30 unit battles played out on a series of bespoke maps. Though the game is in closed beta right now, open beta is only a few weeks away, and you can purchase access along with some other additions for prices ranging from $10 to $100. So let's see exactly what you'd be paying for. To begin a battle, you'll need to select a commander to lead your forces. Upon starting the game, you'll have a choice of 3 commanders out of a total of 10 that you'll eventually unlock. Commanders belong to different factions, of which there are 3, the Romans, the Greeks, and the Barbarians. Commanders have access to unique abilities, and each commander plays very different because of the effects of those abilities. You can have wide area of effect buffs and debuffs to enhance or hinder those around you. There's also specific charges, timed effects, special formations, and deception tactics that your commanders can employ. Each commander has 3 abilities at their disposal, but only starts with 1. You'll need to progress and rank up to gain access to the other 2, and you can also improve your current abilities by leveling them up also. Arena's progression is divided into a 10-tier grouping system. Units and commanders will start at tier 1, and as you play and gain more XP, you'll start to unlock and access more tiers. As the tiers progress, you'll have access to greater gameplay depth. Commanders will get access to more complex and difficult to execute abilities, and units will become more diverse and complex in their own right. For example, a battle at tier 1 will only ever have a maximum of 6 unit variations on it, while a battle at tier 5 has a maximum of 18 unit variations. The variations don't actually increase beyond tier 5, but the units themselves have greater tools at their disposal to create a more nuanced battlefield. Units in Arena come in all different shapes and sizes and encourage different playstyles to get the most out of them. The Romans boast strong heavy infantry, strong late tier cavalry, and powerful artillery. The Greeks have an extremely strong defensive line with the use of hoplites, long-range slingers, and devastating shock cavalry. And the Barbarians are glass cannon, high damage dealers with low defense, fielding units such as Naked Warriors, Folksmen, and Warhounds. Units themselves possess their own abilities, such as charges for cavalry, formation fighting for Romans, phalanx for Greeks, focus fire for missiles, etc., etc. They also have their own selection of consumables, items that you can take into battle and use once. These can range for small buffs for each unit, ammo types for missiles, and buildable defenses such as stakes and barricades. Choosing the right commander to match a unit type will push that unit to its full potential. For instance, Germanicus of the Romans has heavy infantry charge, testudo formation, and vengeance as abilities. So obviously this commander has no use really for cavalry or artillery, as those abilities can't even be used on those units. Similarly, Kainani for the Greeks has rapid advance, hunt, and barrage, some of which can be used on other unit types, but lend themselves heavily to missile infantry. There are also commanders that are unit agnostic, such as Caesar for the Romans and Vercingetorix for the Barbarians, who favour to affect those around them more so than their units themselves. Once you've selected your commander and units, then you're ready for battle. Now you can also play with up to 3 friends in a squad of 4. To add a friend, you simply type their username in the friend finder and add them, but you can only play with friends if they're in the same region as you. When creating a Wargaming account, it'll put you in North American region, the European region, or the Asian region, depending on your location. Or, like many people, you may have just googled their website and won't realize that you're redirected to na.wargaming site instead of the eu.wargaming site, as it's just a small URL in the browser. Even less conspicuous, the .com instead of the .net for Total War Arena's website. This means that your account will be forced into this region and you can't play with friends or change your region. Many people have come to me living in Europe or the UK, but accidentally joined the US servers. What's even more bizarre is although they can't add each other and party up together, it seems they can play with each other. With the relatively small user base, I've come across friends and YouTubers from different regions in my game. When we try to add each other afterwards, we can't because of the region locking. So this is a massive black spot on the game. Region locking is incredibly outdated and frustrating for players. I live in the UK and most of my friends are US based, so it makes playing this game extremely infuriating. Now as for the gameplay itself, there's one game mode and at least 7 maps. Maps are weighted between tiers, so you might only come across certain ones at higher tiers. There was an old map called Germania that seems to be missing from tiers 1 to 6, but it's possible it could be extremely high tier map I just never encountered. The game mode itself is a simple base capture and defense. If one team places a unit in the enemy base, a progress bar starts to move up. The more units in the base, the faster it moves up. However, if the unit takes damage, it loses all capture points it earned and the progress falls down. This means you essentially need to catch the base completely undefended to capture it. If there are archers or artillery near it, then they can fire in from a safe distance and keep it from capturing. There's also a 15-minute timer on the game. Whoever has the most troops remaining at the end of the timer wins. So a viable strategy is for a team to realize that they have more men, pull back and start defending, as it's up to the enemy to try and kill them or take their base before the clock runs out. It's a very simple yet fun game mode that I don't ever really grow tired of. Every now and then you'll encounter a game where a blob of troops will rush a base and win in under 2 minutes, which can be really frustrating, but it's up to the team to stop that from happening and leave something behind to defend. I would say that more often than not, the game boils down to just a handful of troops left, so I think the balance of the mode and the maps in general is quite good. Combat itself is all about unit placement and the timing of abilities. Tactical placement of troops that appeal to their unit type are what makes for a successful battle. Blocking off streets, laying ambushes, and protecting each other's flanks will ensure that everyone survives. Units that stray off on their own often get surrounded and cut down by greater numbers. Commander abilities will work to counter a bad situation or enhance a good one. If there's a block of troops guarding a street or an area, your Vercingetorix can use Scorched Earth effect to burn the ground and make that unit move. If an Arminius player has remained hidden for a while, they can use Infiltration to mask themselves as an ally and sneak up on the enemy. If Caesar is near an enemy, he can issue his Vici command to stop other commanders from issuing orders, and potentially block a heavy infantry charge from, say, Germanicus. So it's a very dynamic battlefield with different playstyles all triggering what they do best at different times. As well as that, the unit commands are the meat of the combat system. Unlike regular Total War games, units don't really automatically do anything. You have to tell them to. A cavalry charge is a timed ability that you need to trigger at the right moment for maximum impact. If you get it wrong, you won't have another charge for a while. Raising shields, reloading faster, dropping pikes, and more are all things you have to manage as the player. With 3 units, it's surprising how micro-intensive this can be at certain times, especially if your units aren't all together. The goal of combat isn't primarily to kill the enemy, it's to break their morale. The white bar in the UI is the morale, and the red or blue bar is the health. Attacking a unit from the rear will cause a severe morale penalty and usually break the unit. This means it won't fight back and can be cut down quite easily. The game takes different types of morale effects into account, such as rear attacks, side attacks, and sudden charges from those angles, and they all deal different damage. Because of the importance of placement and flanking, team play is extremely valuable. When you're with a friend, coordinating together makes the game way more enjoyable and rewarding as you work together to pick off enemies one by one. I often play as Caesar, who has large area of effect buffs, meaning that when my friend charges someone, I can buff them, debuff the enemy, and then charge in myself.
Yeah, that's just such an insane buff, with Oath of Perseverance as well, already giving me 125% defense.
Terrain also affects how a unit behaves. Forests slow units down and give light units such as barbarians an advantage, but heavy units like Romans a disadvantage. Roads will speed units up, water and mud will slow them down. As well as this, there is a tighter line of sight system at play that makes the battlefield much more dynamic and interesting as units move around it. Mini ambushes are much more viable now, and way more satisfying to pull off because of terrain types like tall grass, light forest and dense forest. Capture towers will grant you greater visibility in the maps, and are well worth fighting over as information about what units are where and what they are is extremely valuable. Throwing all of this together in big 10v10 battles do make for some very fun and engaging fights. Unfortunately, what holds the game back the most in the battles is the delay in moving units. I can't tell if it's local CPU lag or network lag, but units will often wait between 1 and sometimes 5 seconds before carrying out their movements. It's extremely frustrating as timing can be so important. If you're trying to pull out of combat or move out of the way of a charge, a 3-second delay to your unit order can be the difference between life and death. It's not a constant issue, but it seems more prevalent as the battle progresses, and has definitely affected my enjoyment of the game. And you've got a charge left. I didn't charge the first one. I kind of mismicroed it. The units are fucking so delayed right now. It's just ridiculous. I love that guy. He was like, yeah, I'll come help. He's like, oh, no, can't. Look at this. It's like, I'm not even doing anything here. And that's what I kind of plan on doing. You see that delay? The delay is insane. I don't know how they can get away with that kind of delay in this game. As well as this, there are some serious pathfinding issues that seem to affect some units more than others. When turning corners in certain places, units can double back on themselves and spiral around forever until you pull them out of it, often causing delays and strange behavior where a unit will lose all composure. Guland. Oh, I thought it was Ninja Hunt for a sec. Oh, look at that. I targeted this unit, and let's look where they're going. Oh, they just needed to come over here before they made that decision. That was great. Good job. It's almost like a real game sometimes. There are some other weird behaviors in the game, such as units that can deploy on cliff edges becoming almost impossible to kill, as charges and other attacks seem useless. When I initially saw it. But yeah, these guys have like this insane buff when they're against the wall like this. You just can't be beaten, essentially. Just can beat my cav just because they're like lined up. Half of them aren't even facing me, but they're able to like take me down. When a unit breaks completely, they'll start running back to base. You never get control of them again, but they still get in the way and even sometimes randomly attack you, killing your men without yours fighting back. You can't quite click them as there's no UI for them, and have to try to individually select them to get them. It's a real big frustration that seems like a hangover from the battle engine than something that was purposefully placed in. Lastly, at the end of a battle you get your reward and a scoreboard is displayed. Currently only the kills and deaths are displayed, which to me is a huge mistake in a game that focuses so much on team play and capturing. You're still rewarded for capturing in terms of XP and silver, but it's not displayed for anyone else. So often you can win the game for your team, but be placed at the bottom of the scoreboard. What's more, Caesar, my favourite general to play, can buff those around him, but doesn't receive anything for doing so. Why there is a support commander with no way to reward support is beyond me. Now, from a technical standpoint, Arena is a lightweight game, capable of running on quite low-end hardware. It's clearly been developed based off the Total War Rome 2 framework, which at this point is a 4-year-old game, so it's not exactly pushing polygons like the latest releases. For my PC, it never went above 1.5 gigs of memory, and the CPU became sort of intense at times but generally quite low overall, and the GPU barely even knew the game was running. I had a solid 90 FPS almost the whole time while running everything at max settings at 1080p. The presentation of the game is fairly average overall. Its strongest component is its UI, which has a fresh and clean look to it, and is fairly customizable, allowing you to select what information you want to see. The menus and progression system are easy to understand, and the layout and the graphics displayed for battles and statistics is great. The battles themselves, they're something you'll never really want to zoom in and watch, as you'll barely ever see soldiers properly attack or hit each other, as the gameplay takes precedent over the visual fidelity of the fights. What's up with this artillery unit? She's got two men standing like right inside it. Pushing it, but not pushing it. Actually, that guy is standing right behind this guy. And I don't know what they're doing, guys, but it doesn't look very Roman to me. It looks a little bit more Greek, if you know what I'm saying. The music is well suited, but it is largely forgetful, and the sounds in the game have a great thundering bass to them, making triggering abilities feel very impactful. The controls are pretty standard and offer a good degree of customization, however the camera won't let you switch camera types unless you edit the preferences file directly. For fans of Total War games, this is a must, as it lets you move the camera in a free-form way in all directions like a first-person shooter game, instead of the more rigid way that it defaults to. Unfortunately as well, the camera is strictly limited in height, meaning you can never really get a good view of the battlefield. I'm not exactly sure why this has been done, but it's probably to allow for flanks to catch you off guard more, and to make it harder to micro units that are separated. There is also a large degree of assets taken from Rome 2 and used here. Buildings, units, sounds and animations are largely taken from that game, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. The game is free after all, but it is going to be making money off content that's in another game you may have already purchased, and one that I definitely did. It seems a little bit lazy in one aspect, but at the same time it wouldn't really make sense to redo those assets, and I'm sure work has gone into making them a better fit for Arena, but it's just something I wanted to mention. Last note on the technical front, apart from the delay in units being an issue, I never encountered any other sort of lag. We never got desynced or moved around or anything like that, and when a player drops from the game you can control their units. It's kind of a half-step measure at the moment, as often multiple users will try to control the same units fighting for control of them, so maybe a designated commander that controls AFK players would be a better solution. I'm gonna send this guy into his own phalanx.
And he's about to get charged in the back as well.
A very important part of a free-to-play game is the progression model that they employ. Total War Arena's system is a pretty straightforward one, but can be a little bit complicated to explain, so I'll do my best to explain how you'll be spending money and time in this title. There are 4 currencies in the game: free XP, unit XP, silver, and gold. 3 of these currencies are earnable based on your performance in battle, and 1 is only ever purchased with real money. The XP currencies are used to unlock things. Free XP, which is earned each battle, can be used to upgrade your commander's tier, to upgrade your commander abilities, and to upgrade and unlock new units. It's kind of like a universal XP kept in a global pool that can be used on everything. Next is unit XP. Unlike free XP, unit XP is not global. Instead, it's earned by a particular unit in battle and tied to that unit type. For instance, fighting with Mycenian Hoplites in a battle will earn unit XP for the Mycenian Hoplites unit only. You can then use that XP to upgrade the Mycenian Hoplites unit and eventually unlock the next unit in that chain. Once you've fully upgraded your unit, you'll have no more use for that XP. It'll just sit there and gather over time with nothing to spend it on. Something worth mentioning though is once you do upgrade a unit, those upgrades will stick with them permanently. Removing or replacing the unit doesn't affect the upgrades or XP that it has. Next up is silver. Silver is used pretty much through every change in the game. If you pick a unit and place it in your selection, you pay silver for it. If your units take damage, you pay at the end of each game to replenish them with silver. If you unlock an upgrade, like a new shield or weapon, you pay silver to equip it on the unit. If you want to take a consumable into battle, you pay silver for each use. Silver is everywhere in each transaction essentially. Lastly is gold. Gold is the premium currency you can buy for real money. How much gold is going to be worth could change with the open beta, but judging by the pricing of units on their website, it looks like around 3,500 gold is about $10, but this could be wrong as it's based off current pricing on their website. Now, gold is only needed to purchase premium units, to purchase premium progression, and to buy cosmetics. These are the only things that other currencies cannot buy. To discuss the premium units first, there's around 50 units per faction, and around 5 premium units per faction. However, there are some units available with the Founders Packs on their website that don't seem to be listed in the game tech tree just yet, such as Triarii for the Romans. I wasn't able to test them all out, but by viewing their stats they seem comparable to the other units of their tier, and seem to try and fill a role not there for others. For instance, Romans don't get access to cavalry until tier 5, but with Premium, you could get Roman cavalry unit at tier 4. The potential for pay to win is there, but hopefully it's avoided. One can only look at a unit like Spartan Hoplites and imagine that they're OP, but we'll have to wait and see. The premium progression model is pretty straightforward. It essentially allows you to pay gold to earn 50% more in your battles. You can pay to get 1 day's use, 7 days use, or 30 days use. The cosmetics currently available are very cheap in the closed beta, however buying a cosmetic ties it to the unit only, so you could buy the same cosmetic multiple times. In the closed beta there's barely any cosmetics, so I'm hoping for a lot more variation and functionality down this route eventually. Anything that can keep them from doing more pay to win style things like premium units is a good thing. I wouldn't mind purchasing music packs, colour packs to paint your clothes, a shield designer that lets you place your own emblems on shields, hell even spray paint style Roman graffiti could be cool if you're running around tagging things or marking where you wrecked your enemy. But unfortunately, in the 3 to 4 years of playing this game, they've never really expanded the cosmetics and only limited it further. The army painter, for instance, has been removed from the beta completely. Gold plays another role, and that's to speed up your progression. Some commanders like Alexander cost around 8,000 free XP, but you can buy them instantly for 2,000 gold. Remember the unit XP that gets stuck on a unit forever? You can convert it to free XP by paying gold. The conversion rate is 1 gold for 25 XP, so if you have a unit with 2000 XP with nothing to spend it on, it'll cost you 80 gold to transfer it. Then you can spend it wherever you want with free XP. Ultimately, you're just redirecting the time you've already spent on something to something else, so it just speeds things up a bit. You can also buy silver with gold. The conversion rate there is 10 silver for 1 gold, so that's pretty standard stuff. Now before moving on to the larger issue with how this is handled, I wanted to talk about the value for money in the Founders Packs. Founders Packs are your gateway into the beta and let you buy starter kits containing units, gold, and premium access ranging from $10 to $100. They also offer beta keys for use, so one can assume that these will change when we get to open beta. Currently though, in terms of gold value, I've worked out roughly how much each pack is worth. Now I've said that I've worked out $10 is around 3,500 gold by looking at the tiers in the founder packs and comparing them. For instance, 30 days of premium is valued at 2,500 gold, founder pack 1 is $10 and gives you premium plus 1250 gold. Another example is for $30 you get 2 units, 2 customization items, beta access and premium. For $40, $10 more, you get 2 units, 2 customization items, beta access and premium plus 3,500 gold. So basically $10 is worth around 3,500 gold. This means that I can judge the founders packs against what you'd be able to buy just in the game. Essentially, if you drop $99.99, you're getting the best value by far. But at $69.99, you'd be better off just buying gold in the game and spending it how you want. I think overall, the $10 founder pack is a great price to just get the game and get playing immediately, but in general, I would wait until it's free to play and then just buy the amount of gold you feel okay with. Buying these packs ties you into certain units and things, taking away flexibility to buy whatever you want later on. Okay, so the wider issue here of course is asking whether or not they've slowed down the game progression to encourage more gold purchases. The answer is a pretty obvious yes, but to what extent? The time it takes to reach tier 5 is around 10 hours of playtime from my experience. Because of how the score system works, giving you points based on morale damage and actual damage, it means you'll earn a bit more each tier as the values get higher and higher the more powerful the units become. It seems this rate is around 10 to 20% with each tier. However, the gaps between tiers in terms of what it costs to unlock stuff is an exponential curve. To go from tier 1 to tier 2, you need 800 XP. Pretty simple. To go from tier 5 to tier 6, you need 41,000 XP. To go from tier 9 to tier 10, you need 378,000 XP. For me, an average game earned me around 700 XP per battle at tier 5. Like I said, you'll earn around 20% more with each tier, so you'll be earning more as you go on. However, the time needed to go from tier 5 to 6 was around 8 hours because you needed to play 58 battles, each one lasting around 8 minutes. Now when you're up in the high tiers, you're looking around earning 3 to 4,000 XP per battle and about 14 to 20 hours to go between tier 9 and 10. That's with just one unit, and that's ignoring upgrades that won't progress you to the next unit, because you can get side upgrades too. So essentially we're looking at very long times between tiers. This actually can't be sped up if you're looking to achieve it as fast as possible, but if you deviate and play with other units, you can spend gold to redirect XP back where you want it. The reason I've gone through all that is because what this large gap between high tiers in effect does is break apart the players. The amount of players who will reach tier 10 are people that put in hundreds of hours or so into the game. When those players reach that number, they'll be banded with tier 9 and tier 8 players and will be able to completely destroy them. It's something that happened in the beta on a smaller scale. As a tier 5 player, I regularly came across tier 7 players, and there was nothing I could do to beat them. Oh, he's about to get smashed. Wow, okay. That's pretty stupid of me. I thought, hey, I'll be nice. I'll go over to this guy and buff his speed so that he can get away faster. And I took way more damage than he did. Look at that, one hit. That must be like... It might be a tier 6 cav unit or artillery unit because he was just one of the units that hit me. Fucking hell, that artillery hit me from all the way there. That hit me from all the way over here. It's a tier 6 unit there. Tier 7 artillery. I fucking knew it. There's something so wrong with that. It's so stupid. It's like, why would one hit demolish half my unit? It's because it's absolute bullshit. Bother even pretending to go into go. Oh look, he's actually got him though. Trump has got him. The other tier 7 is going to smash it. Just charge! Why aren't you charging? Oh, you went right into spikes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Even if I singled one unit out on its own and surrounded it. I'm hoping this is due to low player numbers in the closed beta, but I can't imagine it won't be an issue at higher tiers in the open beta because the gaps in time are so large between tiers. There's Jackie. Jackie with his tier 6 cav. His one tier 6 unit of cav. He knows that he can like defeat this guy probably on his own. I'm gonna come down and help. So there we've got 3 tier 5s, 1 tier 6. He's used Warcry. to lower his morale. Jackie's rebutted with an Oath of Perseverance to re-up his morale. I'm coming in. I'm saying hello. Dude, I know. Coming in. Let's get in there. How many units does it take? Let's get a little bit further in. We're also going to stop Jackie from doing his little special things. Okay. There it is. We can see it's active on him. Divide and conquer. For 20 seconds, he can't do anything. I've buffed my friend. This is 5 units engaged in combat. 5 units engaged in combat, 1 tier 6. He's not breaking. He's barely losing any health. My guy's losing quite a substantial amount. As well as that, the time gap means pretty unbalanced games as you progress. If most people are playing tier 6, they probably only have 1 or 2 units at that level. And that resulted in me finding a 7-player cavalry game, which devolved into a massive mess in the center. It made for a great stream though. And then look at this. Oh my god, look at this game. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21 cavalry. 21 cavalry units. So this is... this game is so fucked. Like, tier 6, tier 6, tier 6, all these tier 6s. Everyone's tier 6 on their team. You notice everyone on my team is tier fucking 5. Cause why not? This is tactical, isn't it? Look at the tactics in this game. Fucking ridiculous. So this is important to play at these higher tiers to see how the game is like completely just devolves. My fears for this game is that low player numbers will cause greater division between tiers, and that will cause high tier players to band with low tier players, and further unbalance the game, making for a frustrating experience and lowering the numbers further in a snowball effect. I urge Creative Assembly to stop flexible tier banding altogether and put in place a hard limit on keeping tiers the same. At the absolute worst, seeing 1 tier higher isn't too bad as teams can work together to take them down, but 2 levels higher is impossible to deal with, and if one team has a higher tier player, the other team should have that as well. Total War Arena at its core is a very fun battle game unlike any other game on the market. It's a fast-paced, real-time strategy game with a strong focus on teamwork. Unfortunately, it's tagged onto an existing engine from an older title, causing it a bunch of technical issues. It's also wrapped up in an anti-consumer free-to-play model that is designed to get you frustrated so you'll spend money. The game has had a troubled history switching between publishers and platforms, meaning friends can't always play together, and the development teams seem to focus on the wrong things compared to what the community want. Personally, I would have loved it if they charged about $20 for the game and had cosmetic microtransactions to sustain development. They need to focus on enhancing the team play, not pushing players apart with region locking. I honestly don't think the future looks bright for this game, but I'll be sticking with it as I do find the core of the game fun, and we'll see whether or not the player base will be there to support it. Republica Play reviews are funded on Patreon. If you want to help support the channel, consider joining our growing patrons there and have your say on what games we look to cover next. Please remember to support the video, also share it with friends and let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. That'll be all for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.